What's up, desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back for another episode of Bodybuilding University. And today I'm joined by Stuart, Sutherland, and Stanimal, Stan de Longeaux. We're doing our Olympia wrap-up. It was obviously a pretty exciting Mr Olympia. Stan, you were there. Stu, you weren't, I believe?
No, I was not, no.
Yeah. Now, Stan, I'll go to you first, man. What did you think? Because the decision was obviously it was between Derek Lunsford, Hadi Choopan, and Samson Dow to top three. How did you have it playing out? I want to get your opinion on that first.
I mean, I can see, honestly, like to me, Samson was third because conditioning-wise, I don't know if he wasn't full enough. He was just not in the same ballpark as Hadi and Derek. I thought Hadi won the show personally. But like I can totally see, like since last year it was close already, like Derek made so much more improvement that I totally see how he wins the show. But in my eyes, I had Hadi winning just because of that quality. But I can, again, I can see how they go more for shape, and Derek's shape is beautiful. But personally, like knowing, Derek being so young and like he improved so much so fast already, I will be like, it's coming, but let's wait another year, like to get even more graininess to it, because he's getting better. The maturity is coming through the chest, but next to Hadi is just still not enough. But I definitely could have seen him like winning it starting next year. It would have been, I think, better little like challenge story than switching it up already. But again, I could totally see how Derek wins this. Like it's not it's just a matter of a personal opinion of what matters most,
Yep. Man, one thing I want to ask you as well is Derek Lunsford. Everyone talked about, they saw that photo where he's sitting in front double bicep and you see sort of two lumps under his armpit. Now you're seeing footage here where it's Gilco production footage, and you don't know, like, if you'd have to point it out to me that he has some sort of a lump under his armpit or something, like it just looks like sort of part of a lat overall to me. Like I didn't notice it whatsoever. Plumbo said he didn't notice it in person either because it's just, I don't know, it looks like it's sort of naturally there until you really look at it. Did you notice it in person at all?
Yeah, I did, but I think it's normal. I think it's just the muscle pushing. I think his lats are so huge that it's just pushing under from the back, like all the muscle are pushing through that armpit area, like the lats, serratus, and it's very symmetrical. And nobody injects his. I mean, it's not like he does not like he needs to like put that stuff like to make it bigger in this area either. Like, and if that was that big of a nut, it would not be absorbed. I mean, it's like that how much gear he's not actually using for, like I don't think of that. I think it's just the muscle is so big and he's pushing.
I will say one thing though, and Stu, I want to get your opinion too, but Derek has sort of like, he's got like, as a lot of guys do, they have a little bit of a lump on the top of their glutes and stuff. And I don't think his is so bad, but it's like, oh, wow, it's a huge, big deal. And also, we've talked about Derek.
Videos and stuff, but like, it's really not.
And then we've talked about as well, like Derek needing to be harder across the chest, the shoulders. So I'm like, I assume they're probably going to try to avoid his glutes a little bit and avoid his shoulders a little bit, so they get the details out there. I'm like, maybe they have hit more lats and other body parts and stuff to avoid those sites, because it is like obviously a challenge for all these guys trying to rotate sites, trying to hit spots where it's not going to be obvious. And, we heard it about Hadi's delts in years past. So Stu, what do you think about this? And do you think that he's probably just rotated sites to put it somewhere less obvious than, the shoulders where it might blur detail, or the glutes where it might get a bit too swollen?
Well, I kind of doubt, like, you'd have to point out where on his glutes he's shooting stuff that's blurring shit up, because like he's got insanely detailed glutes, like for most of the bottom. I know like the ventral glute right up top, like, I mean, nobody really has lines up there anyways. I don't think it was bad there anyways. But I mean, as for the lat thing, like I somebody had to point that out to me. I didn't notice it at first. And then it was in like an iPhone photo. So it was like kind of like, iPhone photos look kind of like high contrasty and they pop at you. Like, so it looked
Exactly.
particularly noticeable in that. But it's so symmetrical and so it's not like deformed or lumpy. It's just like bulging out. I don't really think it's a shot, and like if you were doing, I mean, I shoot my lats, like, and I don't put it in my armpit. Like that is like right in there. Like, you'll try to hit like the outer sweep of it. If you're trying to create like more of a lat flare, like illusion, that's not where you would put synthol or gear or anything like that. So I don't, because it was so perfectly symmetrical, I don't want to say it was a shot. I just don't really know. People were saying it might have been like a lymph node, like swollen lymph nodes. Again, I don't know about that. Like your lymph nodes are kind of like further in on your arm.
Yeah, they're right up in your armpit, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not out there on the muscle like that. I don't think. I'm not a doctor, but like, well, in the state of New Jersey, yeah, I don't think it was bad enough that it was like, it should have cost him anything. And like, so looking at the side of Derek's glute here, it's like, yeah, maybe there's something there. It's not bad. It's not like
it's
dark
not
and inflamed or anything, It's like that just that looks good to me, honestly. I think a lot of people were annoyed at this decision, which is understandable. And they're trying to like find shit to knock on the champ. So it's like, people did this to Phil Heath a few years into his reign. They're just starting off early on this guy. But it's inevitable, they always find something. As for the decision, like, I think it could have gone both ways. I would have been totally happy either way. I kind of prefer Hadi as a champ just because, he's so into it. Like, he's so enthusiastic and it clearly means so much to him and the country that he comes from. But I see the rationale of giving it to Derek as a business decision and as a, as far as like creating an ambassador for our sport. And I don't have any qualms about it.
Yeah. So who would you have had winning? Would you have had Hadi or Derek?
Hadi, just because I'm kind of a Hadi fanboy, but I see why they would give it to Derek. And not even like, business wise either, like, physique wise, there are things that you can point out on him that are better. Especially the back squats. I mean, those are really killer. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's an interesting sort of battle between these guys because they're all completely different. Like, even though Hadi and Derek match up the most like height wise, and you can compare them a bit easier than you can compare them with Samson, they've still got completely different strengths and weaknesses. It's like I've rarely ever seen two guys go against each other that have such different strengths and weaknesses in terms of poses, and even within the poses as well. Like the front double bicep, you can say, okay, well, Derek has the most crazy structure. The waist goes in, it looks insane, and for that reason, he should win it. But then you also look at Hadi and go, well, he's crazy on it too, and he's harder, So it's like, it makes it really hard to go, okay, well, this is better than that. It comes down to opinion. And from the back, I think everyone consensus-wise can say Derek's the best. Like, you look at that and see how dry his legs look from the back, and you can debate it from a side, and then the front lat spread and certain shots are definitely Hadi's, the front lat, the most muscular. What do you guys think about the ab pose between these two guys? Because obviously Derek pretty much doesn't hit an ab pose. He hits this, which looks wild, but then Hadi's crunching down and he's got insane detailed abs. Stan, who do you have on the ab pose?
I personally have Hadi all day because of all the details, the intercostals, the obliques, the abs, the crazy quads, the vascularity and separation. It's just, to me, it's just so much details just jumping at you. Then, of course, you look at Derek, and it's like, wow, that shape. But you keep looking back at Hadi and just like, what is going on? All these veins and bubbliness, it's just like you end up looking more at Hadi personally.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
What do you
mean? It's like, quality for quality, like Derek is very good here, but like you cannot help but just look at like his crazy, serratus intercostal, all this shit that's going on, and it's old man muscle on him too. You know, it looks like it's just nasty, and when he hits that oblique shot to the side, man, that is just probably one of the best ones in the whole sport.
Yeah. For me, it's like almost impossible to judge the ab pose because they're two completely different poses. It's like, what do you find more impressive? Like that crazy vacuum on Derek with his lats popping like that, and the way he angles his legs is very smart. And I reckon Hadi and him decided on this because they're like, you're not going to beat Hadi crunching down on your abs. It's just not going to happen because Derek's abs, like the second he was in that pose, you can see.
Like people say he never hit the ab pose. He did hit the pose. Like you can see him hit the 6-pack, or actually 12-pack, or how many he has. I don't know.
But like
he sort of hits it for a second.
He never hits like brings those obliques in like Hadi does.
No.
And I wonder if he's even capable of it. Like some people, like they just don't have that connection with their obliques. I know you do, Stan. Like I have a really good connection with my obliques, and when I flex them, it just sucks everything in real tight. But I mean, his waist is definitely smaller than mine and yours by far. But he's not hitting the pose like that. So maybe he just can't, or he doesn't show the detail when he does.
Yeah, well, I think the judges have sort of said that doing the vacuum is fine for an ab pose. Like they said from a side you can hit it like that. If you just do that, they can judge that as well. So it's different with the side tricep where you hit it from the front. But I think like in poses like this, like no doubt Hadi wins that hands down, smashing Derek on that most muscular. Sort of the same way I think Derek beats Hadi on the back double.
The only thing that's off-putting there is the size of his forearms, kind of. Although
on Hadi,
looking at all three of them, like their forearms aren't crazy, but like, just everything through the delts, chest, arms, legs. There's even the abs that you can see. It's like
I don't like how Derek is hitting that pose here at all. He completely exposes his chest.
He's slouching over. Yeah, he's covering up.
Yeah. But just the X, that's like that, you know, like it was like lines everywhere. It's crazy looking.
Yeah. And that's the thing as well. Like we don't get that perspective as much because you can sort of break them down when you're looking at video afterwards. But when you see that crazy conditioning and lines everywhere in person, it's almost like mesmerizing. It's like you just drawn to them and be like, wow, that's some granite rock hard muscle. And you just don't get that same perspective watching videos. But the way I sort of playing out in terms of who wins what poses is like I have Derek on. I might have him edging the front double because I just love the look of that pose, but it's pretty much 50-50 for me. Then the front lats, I'd say 50-50. Front lat spread Hadi. Side shots, I personally like Derek because I thought just watching it live on this is very close, I think, but I personally just like that side leg of Derek and how his glute striations sort of shine through. And I thought he had enough detail in the upper body to win it. What do you guys think on the side chest?
Yeah, I have Hadi. Just because of the thickness of the chest, the thickness of the chest, the width of the shoulder, and the detail in the abs. Well, still he has enough details in the leg. But yeah, I love the lower body of Derek. I would take that if I could swap. But I mean, it gives me more. The pose just is a little more powerful from Hadi again. So
yeah, that like the level of density he has is it's more impressive. Like his tricep pops out further, his bicep comes out further. Even this far delt and arm coming across is like more in your face. And like Derek's very good in all those departments. It's just not that good.
And it's coming.
But the thing about, sorry, you guys stand?
No, I'm saying again, he's improving really fast. Like compared to last year, it's already like a huge improvement. So I mean, I think that would have been dope to have him come really, really even closer this year and having to work another year. But you know, he's gonna work hard anyway, like to establish himself and solidify himself. I think, but that's gonna be an epic battle for next year because those two are fired up, I think.
Yeah, well, Hadi's obviously fired up. We've seen sort of what he's started to put out now in terms of like saying that 2024 I'm back and all that sort of stuff. So I think that he's pretty fired up to want to come back and win. And I hope it's not controversial between Hadi and the winner next year, whoever wins the show, or if Hadi does win himself, obviously, then there'll be no issues with fan stuff anyway. But it's going to be interesting, man, because you got Samson coming back next year. Some people think that Nick Walker could have won the Olympia if he'd competed. You've got, another year of Andrew Jack. Could he push into that group or not? You've got, hopefully you get Nathan Diasher and hopefully you guys up on that same stage as well. So it's going to be a pretty exciting 2024. And then you've still got guys like William Bonac who might come back, and, who knows, Big Ramy potentially could be back up on stage.
Rafael Pandao, Sergio Oliva.
There's so many names. There is so many. So it's pretty exciting. But what do you guys think of Samson? Is it literally just conditioning and that was the issue? Like if he was 5 pounds more conditioned, would he have won the Olympia?
If he was 5 pounds more conditioned, I don't even know if he'd still have he's never going to have glutes and hams in detail like Derek does. 5 pounds, 15 pounds. I just don't think it'll happen. Which is, like in all these like lead up prediction videos going into the Olympia, like Dave likes doing this. Fuad likes doing this. Like they're like, if everyone's at 100%, which is literally never fucking happens. So I don't know why to throw that out there. It's like if Samson's peeled and shredded just like Derek, well, he's not. Like he never will be. I don't think it's a conditioning thing. I think his game is to like kind of show up in the good enough condition that he's been in, and bring that back up to where it needs to be. Oh yeah, that's a good look right there. I mean, Tonio is like 215 pounds or something. He told me he was lighter here than in New York, and he was like 220 there. So, I mean, that's quite the expose. But yeah, like he just doesn't have like the glutes and hams and detail and stuff that some of these other guys do. So be the big man. Ramy finally won an Olympia. He wasn't the most conditioned, but he was conditioned enough and he was big enough everywhere. And he won. So that might be his game.
Yeah.
Do you think part of the problem is glute development on Samson? Because I'm looking at this photo here and I'm like, the glutes aren't soft. Like you can sort of see it. They're not soft, but they're just not lines in them. Like the hamstrings, I think, are hard enough for Samson. I think it's very hard to see on live streams because the lighting at the Olympia, like if something was like a bit dark, it would just look black on Samson in the live stream just because of his complexion. So I think the hamstrings for me are okay. It's just, the glute maybe development, and maybe if they were more developed, they'd look bigger. I don't know. But
some of the separation lower back.
Yeah, the details, that lower back glutes is like probably just he's got to get down, a few times to really get that off. That's all. I think. So he will come, but I do think he's definitely has superior hamstring than glutes, but that's not like the really the issue. I think here, I think he just needs to drop his body fat lower.
Do you think he can get leaner? Like, do you think he can actually get there?
I think so. I think anybody could eventually, but I think you have to push it. I don't think you can from 1 year being like this, the next year come and be like at the blade,
Yeah.
But I think with time you can refine and get better at it, So the more shows he does, the more he stays close to that condition, the better he'll get at it. I believe.
I mean, from what he was telling Xavier, like he hasn't really been pushing or eating a lot of food. He's just been growing like a weed, not even pedal to metal.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's like when you're growing that fast, the muscle you grow is like, there's no details to it. It's just round and big. It's gonna take time to really start, really separate and the details and so.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is as well that Samson has added so much new muscle. It's like he did say in a message to me as well. He said, "I'm looking forward to refining this." So he knows sort of what he needs to do, and he said, he said something along the lines of like, he's like, I think he's shocked at how much he's growing. Like I don't think he's expected just to keep growing, and it just keeps happening. And I think it's sort of surprising Milos and himself as well, which is a great problem to have. And I think he's a little bit to the point, like, I don't think I'm going to stop growing. So just like, so he knows he needs to sort of refine what he's got. And I said, well, that's a great problem to have, dude, because I said, you can get to a point where you've got your good body parts you're happy with, and then you can just really focus on those ones you want to bring up, because if they don't stop growing. Because I saw a comparison of Samson from the Arnold Classic and the Olympia, and the way his lats and everything looked different on the front double bicep was insane. Like, they're poking out so much more from the front, and you sort of don't realize it as much. I think maybe he was slightly crisper at the Arnold, so I think that sort of showed a few things through a little bit more, but you can see there is a considerable size difference, and him not even carved up, pushed down, sort of the lowest he was in Mr Olympia prep was 300 pounds. So it's pretty insane.
Hey, can we take a second and appreciate Tonio here?
Yes.
Tonio
wild.
Incredible, and nobody had him in the top 10 going into this, and he just like he got
I had him top 6 personally after the show.
Yeah,
I had him in 8th. I nailed it.
But me, I'm saying after watching the show, I would have him, battling with like Brandon and Andrew.
He's very good, man.
I agree with that.
Just wild. It looks so much bigger than it actually is.
He said he was 212 the day of the finals, I believe.
Oh my god!
Considering going back to 212 and to take
Stan, I was just about to bring that up, man. Like, put this Tonio, like, and I'm taking nothing away from Keon, because we'll get to Keon, and he won the 212 Olympia, and he deserves that title. But Tonio did say he's thinking about going back to 212, which means he could be on the 212 Olympia stage next year. So we've got a battle between Clarita, Tonio, and Keon. I think that would be a sick battle. And I mean, I hate even asking the question, but would this Tonio have beaten Keon?
I don't think so.
You don't think? I think it would have been a damn good battle.
Interesting, but it's hard. I listened to the interview of Tonio this morning, and it's like it's he's been counted out every time, and he's proven people wrong so many times. He's very impressive. He impressed me. He's I think he's probably the guy who impressed me the most on stage at the Olympia. Outside of Hadi, Derek, just the top 3. Samson, just like what he brought to the stage was very, very solid look, complete. Like you think he just needs a little more chest to match his shoulders. But like, this is crazy. He could have, of course, we can always improve our legs, but his back is insane. So much details. It's just so complete and comes in crisp. So crisp, full. It's really solid.
His back is way better than Keon's, but I think the thing that, I think Clarita's back was better than Keon's too, though. What won Keon the show was, that crazy front double and that structure. And I think as good as he is, Tonio is narrow, like clavicle to clavicle, like he's narrow. He looks way bigger than he should, given his skeletal structure. But like that, I think that he might not have gotten the call just because of the way they judged this class. I kind of hope he stays an open, man, because like, if he can just like take the limiter off, and well, actually, I do and I don't, because if he fucking beats me again, I'm just gonna start getting it. But yeah, he's like, dude, that's the 3rd place guy, and he's like mogging him from the back. That's crazy.
What's funny to me is just like you can see like that contrast between those two, because you see like you see Samson adding weight like it's nothing, and he's making really good improvements, but Tonio is making as much improvements without adding any weight on the scale, basically. So
his coach Justin Jacoby did a really good job with them. I don't know if they just dieted him harder or what. I don't know what he has to do, like diet-wise. Like, does he have to kill himself and eat nothing, or can he still eat a lot of food? Like, all these guys are different. You just never know.
Yeah.
I used to talk to Tonio a fair bit. Oh, I still do. I've still messaged him since the Olympia and said congrats. And, he's excited, I think, about what the future holds. And I think this has given him a big boost in terms of like, okay, yeah, like this is where I'm at. But if he's weighing 212 a day of the show, it's like, what's better to do? Because he could go, okay, I'm going to give this 212 Olympia sort of like one big go this coming year, and then go, if I win it, maybe I stay, and then he can make a decision then. But like even with Keon, like Keon eventually wants to get into the Open, and he mentioned about winning a 212 title and then going to the Open. But because Keon has so much weight that he can add in the 212, is there a point of doing that? I mean, if I was Keon, I'd stay at least another year in the 212. Do you think Keon should stay in the 212, or do you think he should move up?
Personally, I think he's got great potential in the Open, but as far as now, he's like 28, I believe, maybe 29 at most. Anyway, he has room to grow, like you just said. So why, make your name for yourself, and then like start doing some shows and test the water. But right now, if I was him, I would just focus on repeating my title and solidifying himself in this division. But I would like to see him, and I think he will do shows in Open. I think at some point.
Yeah.
And
I think another reason to like not do 212 for any of these guys, but Tonio in particular, is like people talk about the Open so much more. And when you're a guy who weighs like a feather and you beat like guys way bigger than you, it's like that's pretty exciting to see in the Open class.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it very interesting. And we've seen lots of examples of guys doing that. Clarita, obviously Tonio this year, and like the money you get out of that, the publicity, like the number of eyes that you get in the Open class is just way bigger than the 212. There's more shows for 212 overall, but there's actually not a lot of domestic US 212 shows.
No.
There's like, they're in different countries all over the place. But I was talking to one guy who did the New York in 212, and he was like, yeah, dude, there's like fuck all in the States that you can actually go do to get qualified.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, compared to some of the Open stuff, at least, and there's just a lot more internationally because the prize money is lower for those shows. There's more, I think, foreign athletes who are in the 212. Smaller guys, more conditioned guys that do well in those shows. But you look at the qualified list for 212 versus Open, there's a lot more guys on it.
Fair. What did you guys think about Sean Clarita? Because there's a bit of, it's almost like, Derek Lunsford won the Open, and after Keon actually won the 212, people were saying, well, maybe they're going to give it to Samson because he's the, aesthetic guy that doesn't have as much conditioning, but they gave it to Derek Lunsford, which is sort of a step in sort of a Keon direction a little bit as well. And some people saying, they thought Sean Clarita still had enough to win this 212 Olympia. What did you guys think? Because I thought that Sean Clarita was going to be awarded the title when I was doing my live, personally. But this might be part of a reason, because when he did his ab pose, it's like his abs just didn't pop from the front. I'll run it again, but I don't know, like if that made the difference or not, because obviously it's close at this level, but that's him hitting his ab shot, and I don't know what's happened or if he overcarbed or what. Stu, do you think maybe that was part of a reason? Because some people mentioned his midsection as to why he maybe lost this one.
Yeah, Keon's midsection isn't amazing either. I think he could probably control it better, but he's also got that split in his abs that you can see real down in some poses. It's not ruining poses for him by any means, but I didn't even realize this on Sean. You can kind of see like he's washed out in the abs, and he's having some trouble flexing his the middle of his quad too. And compare that to Keon here, it's like his waist is just so small it disappears. That's really gonna hurt him. Overall, I thought that Clarita was gonna hold on to it too, but they went for this, and fair enough. I like the look. You can't bash it, and he's conditioned enough.
I will say one thing as well. When they were side by side on stage, I was surprised how big Keon looked compared to Clarita. Yeah. Like when they hit a side chest, I was like, whoa, Keon is taking up so much more room on stage. And when you look at the individuals, I go, he doesn't look bigger, but because when you go back to Clarita and see him hitting his shots, you're sort of like, well, he's stacked, but you got to remember Clarita is short. Like, Keon's not tall either.
They're all short, dude. It's funny you're saying like, wow, he takes up so much space on stage. put Samson out there, you'll laugh.
Yeah, exactly. But Clarita next to Samson, I mean, it looks like just a different division, like completely. Well, it is a different division, but you know what I mean. Like it's a whole different ball game.
I'm bummed we didn't see that. That would have been hilarious, man.
I have a video. I have a video of my friend Theo from France next to Hadi. Hadi looks like a midget next to him. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Theo look good, man. Theo look good in the Olympia.
Yeah. Oh, Theo's pretty tall, isn't he? Isn't he like 6 foot?
No, he's like 4, 5'10". Yeah, he's like my height.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's big. People don't realize how big he is.
Yeah, he's like he needs a back, but like he's really conditioned. He's like, and he doesn't have a super wide shoulders or super small waist, but it all just fits together and flows well. You know, he's got a very nice physique.
Big guy, pretty wide shoulder, pretty big. Like his waist is actually pretty impressive. Like he takes up a lot of space. Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, like his head is pretty big too. So when you see pictures, it doesn't look like it, but like when you look just like at the body, you're like, oh yeah, it's pretty freaking wide.
he's another guy like that. I have the same problem. Like my head's huge. I don't look that good on my own, and he doesn't look good on his own. And then in lineups, like I remember, it was either last year or 2 years ago. He was like consistently in the top call out at all these shows, you know. And I was like, man, this guy doesn't look crazy on his own, but like then you look at the lineup, he's like, man, this guy's conditioned, he's put together good. It's like he's gonna be good soon. I think he's my age too. I think he's like
30.
No, he's young, man.
No, I think he's 30 now. I think because I know him well. Like we worked with the same company years ago. Yeah, he's a really close friend of mine. Yeah,
I thought he was super young.
30 this year.
30 is young, Stu. I'm 33, 34.
Yeah.
But so 30 is young. I thought he was young.
Yeah, exactly.
Brutal, man. But that's getting me back for the Down syndrome comment in the chat. When you said I'm down, I'm like, I can't help myself.
I'd expect nothing less.
Yes. But let's move on and discuss Classic, because C-Bum takes his 5th title. I had a feeling he could, retire on stage, maybe just based off what he'd said in past videos. He said, I'm not going for 7, I'm not going for 8, I'm not going to go that long, but I'm just taking it one at a time. So I'm like, well, that means he's retiring this year or next. Like, if you think of it in that way. Yeah. But then I have heard an interview since when someone said, are you going for 8? And he says, who knows? So I don't know how far C-Bum's going to go in terms of how many Olympias he does and if he does open or whatever. I think he keeps that all pretty much on the down low. But, I mean, he looked phenomenal again. He tore his lat 10 weeks out, which I could not notice any difference. His bicep looked better than last year too. He's got those cuts back in it, and it looks better than his other bicep, to be honest. Like, it looks a little bit bigger. So there's no issues from a torn bicep. There's reports that he tore something as well in his quad at some point too, but it's like you don't expect it. Yeah, hamstring as well. Yep. So it's just like
looking the right here or there.
Yeah, so he's had like 4 or so torn muscles. It's like we talk about Dorian Yates. Oh, he tore his lat, he tore his bicep, and he looked all torn up. And same thing as Branch Warren. But C-Bum, his physique just takes the tears and just loves it and just tends to just still look awesome. I just don't understand.
More muscle separation.
What's that? More separation.
More separation.
I mean, I think the reason he can get away with that is his physique isn't dependent on specific body parts. Yeah. And that's definitely more true in classic versus open. Like, if you've got like a shitty arms, like you're not doing good in the open. But like, you could say he doesn't have shitty arms, but they're not good, but it doesn't matter. He's still able to just dominate people in the poses.
But Ramon this year was really, really solid.
Very good. Yeah.
Very impressive.
It was crazy.
Like, if he grows a little better, if he like flex his leg on certain shots, and man, I don't know, because I feel like he's not showing 100% what he's got. So it's really very impressive. Like, he's actually might be even put together better than Chris.
Oh, Ramon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to quickly touch on this. Like that side chest on C-Bum, I think it's his strongest shot now. How does that look
Very
in like
good.
an open lineup? Like where does that sort of like is because he's tall too. So most other guys are going to be shorter compared to this. Like C-Bum's what 6'1" or 6 foot or whatever he is.
Yes.
I mean, how does that match up? Because that is so detailed. Like it's very rare that we see lines through the entire pec like that. Like you look at it, it's probably going through almost the entire pec. It's like, Stan, where do you think that matches up in open? Like that pose, but also the whole physique.
In open, it's hard to say, honestly, until you see him next to us. But it's very impressive. I don't see why it wouldn't be. Like I transitioned from it, and I wasn't winning the Olympia, and I'm doing pretty good. So I'm sure it would stand up pretty fine. Totally fine next to most lineups.
Yeah. I just don't know. I have no like the side chest. I think he's obviously very competitive. Some of the other poses, like Stu sort of mentioned, is like certain body parts. Like even though we talk about how great his back is, it's not like there's like I think about your back, Stu, your back, Stan, and then some of these other pros' backs when we hit a back double. While C-Bum's still very impressive, I'm like some guys have just huge amount of thickness and roundness in that back double bicep.
The thickness. This looks good on its own. It looks way better than the classic lineup, but like the thickness thing and the density, it's just like it would be night and day standing next to an open guy. And that's the thing. Like these guys don't stand next to open guys. I really wish they would get everyone out there and just like you get them all in a lineup, see what they look like next to each other, just for the sake of it. It'd be interesting to see because I think it would open a lot of people's eyes.
And they're going all the same night, so they could do that totally.
Then
I'll bring all the winners.
Well, the 212 is on Friday, right? They finish on Friday.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
The thing that drives me a little bit insane as well is like we saw C-Bum do a photo shoot with Big Ramy a couple of years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah,
and C-Bum was like laughing, like he's posing down next to Ramy, and he was laughing because of the difference in size between Ramy and C-Bum in terms of just muscularity and thickness. Now C-Bum's a little bit bigger now as well, granted, and Ramy wasn't what he was, but Ramy still came.
No, Ramy was the winner back then. That was when they both won.
Oh yeah. I mean nowadays, like where Ramy, last time placed 5th at the Olympia, but Ramy, everyone's like, oh, Ramy's so much ahead of everyone in terms of muscularity, but was he real? Like yes, he is huge and everything, but if you're laughing at the difference between C-Bum and Ramy, to say, I've heard some people say C-Bum will be top 6 at the Open Olympia. I don't reckon that's true at all. Like in his current state, if he takes a year or two out, maybe, but I mean, I don't know what you think, Stan, too. Do you think that there's no way that he's like, top 10 or top 6? Because I go back and forth on it a little bit. I definitely don't think he's top 6. I probably don't think he's top 10 either.
I think the easiest way to just trying to compare it, just think, comparing to Rafael Brandao was 10th last year. I think it's no question Rafael beats him. Like, just the size of the legs alone right there, he wins everything from the front shot to the side shot to the back shot, just in the legs. The size difference would be night and days, I believe. So I don't see him like ahead of Rafael Brandao.
Yeah, I don't either. We saw all those photos of Rafael next to C-Bum, and Chris Cito said that this prejudging lighting was better than the main Olympia stage, which is insane because it's in an expo and it's not even, they have lights there for the show, but you got all the other lights as well, which should make it harder to actually light better, but it's lit better than the main stage. So Aceto said that. So people put different stage lightings and everything next to each other, and they're like, "Oh, look how much better C-Bum is than Rafael." I'm like, Rafael is in condition and he's damn round. And you just look at the weight, like you're like, well, Rafael has small waist, small joints, all that sort of stuff. And you look at the weight to height difference, and Rafael's still bigger when you actually add that up because he's shorter, but the same weight.
The difference, I mean, the main difference between classic and open, like right now when I'm looking again at classic, like except like guys like Terence Ruffin, but there's a few like him. I feel like most guys are lacking legs because I'm so used to see like what we're asking for open, and it's the size difference in the adductor, the hamstrings, even the quad. It's just the legs overall. It's just
look at him. He just flexed his legs. There's no meat between his legs there. It goes all the way up. There's no adductor. That's what my legs used to look like, and then I started training my adductors.
Yeah.
Not a good look.
Yeah. He's got that bit of a gap in there, and his legs are definitely not his worst body part. But yeah, like you said, in classic, you've got to have certain body parts that don't have the same amount of weight, you know? So what are the ones that you can get away with sort of more? It's like almost a way to, because some of these guys are getting better year to year and they're already at the weight cap. And I'm like, how are they getting better? I'm like, they're sort of just redispersing the muscle a little bit in some ways. And I'm pretty sure they'd be like, well, do I need adductors that much? Wouldn't I rather that same muscle, but on my outer sweep or on my quads, and sort of focus on those areas a little bit more?
Well, I feel like you can really change even at the same weight. I don't know if it's the muscle gets drier over time or like some kind of process that you can have very different looks at the same weight.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys this year who were like winning pro shows, looking damn big, the open pro shows.
Lighter than ever.
At light body weights.
Yeah.
You know,
Tonio
again.
Wow.
Yeah. Step 1, be black.
Step 2, train.
Yeah. Casually.
And that is all. But it's no.
Yeah.
Obviously, these guys work hard, but sometimes you do see some guys with genetics, and they just what they get away with.
Tino trains really hard too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm just busting his balls. It's mind blowing. Like I could never look like that at 220. I'd look like a twig, you know?
Yeah. It's funny, like the white guy thing, typically, unless you've got like a C-bum structure or something like that, you need to be heavy as an open pro, you know? You need to be real heavy. But is there anything else you've got?
That's true, honestly. Like Dexter Jackson, he turned pro at 208, or not even. I think his first pro show, he was around 208. He was amazing. Sean won at 238. He won the Olympia, the lightest, he's ever been. Flex Wheeler, we always talk about his best look. He was 218, I believe. Like Samuel Brandon was 186, I believe.
But most of those guys were black.
Xavier said that white guys have to be bigger.
He mentioned Dexter Flex.
Yeah. So you proved their point.
Stan, being at the Olympia, there's been a lot of talk about what time these guys go on stage. There's always, everyone's quick to point out the negatives of the contest, and I want to quickly point out some of the positives. I've heard people say that, being there, it felt like a really special event. It felt very like grand, and that, all the stage production, obviously Jake Wood puts a ton of money into this, and, I want to applaud him for all of that. But there's a few things that people sort of want to see changed in the future for the Olympia in terms of maybe what time these guys go on stage. I don't know if that's an issue that you think needs to be fixed for all the spectators or the competitors. But is there anything, I suppose, Olympia weekend, what were the positives and what were the negatives being there?
I mean, the positive of being in Orlando is that everything is at the same spot. That's really convenient. The negative is that there's nothing to do there. It's boring, like it's really like not somewhere you want to hang out. So I think like people flew out as last minute as they could and flew out of there as soon as they could, but as far as the show itself, I understand why, they want to have the opens last. I mean, obviously that's the main thing I want to see on Friday night. Like I want to see 212 and this, so they made sure they started with 212 and finished with prejudging. So then you have to be there all night. But I understand they want people to see all the division and also discover other athletes. It's part of what getting to the Olympia stage gets you, is to get visibility as an athlete. So that's part of it. As far as from the athlete's perspective, I think you just make the adjustments. If it's hard for you to peak at a certain time, then I was talking with Jay the other day. Like Jay used to do a field. They would train at 10 p.m. At least for the last few weeks before the Olympia. They knew they would go be on stage around that time, so they would change the whole timing around, the whole schedule. Wake up at 2 p.m. and eat 2-3 meals, and then it would be like 10 p.m. That's when they would go to the gym after 3 meals, and that's the same time they go on stage. So their body would use to kind of peak at that time.
Yeah, for sure. And also the other thing is like, I suppose for guys flying in internationally, it's you know, they could be on the complete opposite time schedule.
Exactly.
And,
So it's not even relevant at the end. You have to adapt
Yeah.
one way or another. If
Yeah.
you fly from everywhere, you either come in early or you come at a time where it's convenient for you to adapt to it. You know, it's just everybody has to deal with it one way or another. It's just what you're most comfortable with. You know what's the deal with. You know, at least a year in advance you have the date, so you know you're gonna go on stage around 10 p.m. Friday night if you qualify for the Olympia. So just be prepared.
And the positive, sorry, you go, Stu.
Yeah, I think I was kind of like the last couple of days. I was thinking like, man, this is bullshit. They need to have these guys on first, make it super predictable for them. But on the other hand, like if your peak is so dependent on the time you're being on stage, being like exactly at this time, and you have like no leeway window, like an hour or two in either direction, like are you really in shape? Like I don't know. Like I think I could get on stage at 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. if am I planning on hitting it at 10 a.m. You know, for a prejudging, and still look basically the same. You're basically just kind of like grazing a little bit and keeping your fullness where it is at that
But I
point.
do think when you stay awake longer, toward the end of the day, you tend to produce less, you know, aldosterone. Like
Yeah.
you add like more meals in, you have more potential to spill over.
Yeah, so I mean, you got to flip that sleep schedule, like you said. That's
Yeah,
exactly what you should do. You know, you're going to be on stage in the evening, but like plus or minus an hour or two, it's like you're the best in the world. You need to figure this out. I mean, I think you know the reason why they put the open last at both like the Friday night and Saturday night is so that they don't have an empty arena when they're doing bikini and men's physique, because like you know the people who are serious enough to come and watch the Olympia in the audience, like they're there to see the open guys, and you know the 212 guys too. That's the biggest draw. I don't care how big CBum is. Like he's not putting seats, like asses in seats at the stadium.
I don't know about CBAM, maybe CBAM because
Well, maybe he's bringing some 18-year-olds in there, but
like if you want to meet the Olympians, sorry to cut you, but that's exactly what I recorded in one of my vlogs. You could see like you know the tables you had like men's physique, you had figure, you had bikini. And it's like, you know, everybody's kind of like separated. You have a lot of room to go. And then you have open bodybuilding and CBUM. And it's like the whole crowd, you can't move, you know. Like, it's like, obviously the attraction is there, you know. It's not.
So for the Meet the Olympians things, did you have to have like tickets to get into the actual show to get to that? Okay. So they could have been just like expo goers and stuff.
The VIP go in first.
Okay.
And then everybody enters an hour later. Like everybody's allowed an hour later.
Okay. Yeah, that's so you know that's the main draw, right? So the optics of having like you know a half empty stadium when bikini is up there is like it's a little embarrassing. So I see why they set it up like that. Keep a full house.
Yeah. And some people like, I know Dave Palumbo, a bunch of other people said people aren't going to leave. They've paid for their tickets. If bikini was last, people would leave.
I would leave.
Like it's just.
I am leaving.
Yep. and that's the thing. And I think the Open should be the crescendo of the show, because think about what happens when the Open Mr. Olympia wins. It's music. They literally, I don't know if they let off like confetti and stuff this year. It's like they can't do too much of that, because if they did that for the Open and then they just went back to other divisions, it would be like the air has come out of the show.
Yeah.
And like you got to think about the actual optics of it. So people saying that, I'm like, that's sort of crap. I think maybe they should start the show an hour or two earlier. Maybe like it's not that hard to start an hour earlier. Like started at 6:30 instead of 7:30. It's not.
I think it's
deal.
just
and also the other thing is like. Sorry, you guys, Stan?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
Oh, I can't remember what I was even saying. but
no, I'm saying I think people are used to go to the show. You know, when you go to most shows, the pro shows, you know at what time the pros go on. So you show up for this, you know, and you don't sit out for like 6 hours to watch everything necessarily. Here, like that's the problem. It's like what you want to see is spread out from, you know, not what you want to see, but like, you know, if you're a hardcore bodybuilding fan like most who actually spend that kind of money to go to the Olympia, the divisions you want to see are the biggest guys on stage. So
It's like 4.5 hours to sit in one place. That is a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you guys think that the Olympia should go over 3 days instead? So do like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh god.
Not the open, not the open or the classic. So like the 212 classic and open is all over the weekend. But on Friday, we could put some of the pro prejudging on Friday night, maybe some of the pro prejudging on Friday night with maybe some of the amateur stuff. If they're running any of that on Friday night, could we do like where we have, I don't know, it's sort of tough because I know the press conference is on the day before, but have the press conference and then run into the, I don't know, what are some divisions we could put in there? Some of the women's divisions, maybe, just to cut down on how bulky some of the other shows are. Because I think this Friday night men's prejudging, I think that show went longer than the Saturday night. And I will say the Olympia improved because last year I was live for, I think, 5 hours straight while one of those was on. And I joined, I think, a few minutes after it started. So I was like, oh my God, I remember taking a break and it was the middle of the night. I'm like, this is going forever. This time, I think the maximum was like went to 4 hours. So we've cut down by about an hour on the night show. So I want to give the Olympia credit that has improved, no doubt. But it still felt like they were going at a really good pace, and it still took 4 hours. So I'm like, how can we cut down on things a little bit and just one less division each night, make it another Friday night show for the amateur and the pro? You can sell another round of tickets. And if people aren't interested in those divisions, so be it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So
I don't think that they would actually change the current setup. I think that is the best way to run the show optically. And, you know, like you said, get the crescendo with the open guys at the end. Yeah, it takes a while, but, you know, I mean, the one upside to that is, like, if you got tickets, you don't give a shit about the other divisions. Like, you can just show up, like, you know, 2 hours into the show, and you're going to catch the last 2 hours and see the stuff you want to see. I think one thing that would actually be good for the athletes, again, this wouldn't happen because of the optics of it, is have a men's day and a women's day. Like, you know, I don't really care about the women's divisions outside of like women's bodybuilding. I think that's fun to watch. Women's physique is cool as well, but like the other ones, like I don't know anything. Yeah, they're entertaining, sure. But like I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. Like as far as like watching a sport, it'd be like me watching cricket. I don't even know. Or like Australian footy or whatever you guys play down there.
That two major sports, yeah.
Yeah. Is that the two? Yeah. And fighting. Yeah,
and rugby as well. Yeah, drinking is a big sport over here.
Yeah, that's part of all of those sports. But yeah, like I think that would make sense. You know, usually if you go to an amateur show, it's like they do all the men's divisions first, and then they move into the women's divisions. Yes, like and they split up prejudging into two separate sections and finals. So that makes sense. It's just like they never actually set it up like that, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not. But let's move on and quickly discuss the Romania Muscle Fest before we wrap this one up, because it's on this weekend, and we have a pretty awesome lineup as well. Because we have Samson Dowd and Nathan Diasha going head to head, the battle of the Brits, which could be interesting because I think Samson's using this as a bit of a trial, and I won't say exactly what he's doing because I don't know if he permitted me to say what he's doing in terms of trialing things, but he's trying different things. I think to test his peak, I guess, because they haven't nailed that down. And with all this new muscle, he's, wanting to obviously nail down his peak for future shows. And I believe Samson's doing the Arnold next year and the Olympia. So, and something I actually said to Samson, I said, you're the highest earning pro for the year, because he won 300,000 with the Arnold Classic. He won 100K for the Olympia. And then he's going to win some money here, which is over 400K, which is what you win for winning the Olympia. And that's the only show that Derek did. And I can't think of anyone else that would have made more money. So Samson Dowder is the highest earning pro bodybuilder on stage for 2023. But here's the lineup for the Romania Pro. You got Bruce Tabani, which will be interesting to see how good he is at this contest. Nathan Diasha, names that are sticking out to me. Also got Alfred Chiriak, who's come back at this one. Samson Dowder, Mohammed Foda, who's he's still going, man.
Competing all year, bro. He's got to be tired.
No, he only started the end of the year.
Well, I mean, maybe not all year, but he did hit a lot of the European ones, though. Like 3 or 4 of them, right?
I have no clue. Yeah, he's hit a few, yeah.
Oh, he started with the French one, I think. So you only did like 2 or 3.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah. Andrea Presti, we've got Jan Turek and Meva names that are sort of sticking out to me on this
Roman is
list.
not doing it. He's not keep going.
What's that?
Roman is not doing this one.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised. Dude, Roman will be. He's done a lot of shows. He deserves a rest.
But he looked the
But
same show, like he freaking brought it every show.
Yeah.
is there any chance that Samson loses this show? Like, just say Samson tries something for his peak and just spills and misses his mark. Is there any way like a Nathan Diasha or a Baruz Tabani or someone could jump in and potentially take the challenge to Samson, where we're going, hey, they're way more conditioned, because we know Baruz is going to be more conditioned than Samson, hands down. We know Nathan's going to be somewhere, you know, I don't know if he'll be as shredded as Baruz gets, but Nathan is very, very hard, and he's got very nice round muscle bellies and probably an even better shape than Baruz. Stu, do you think there's any chance that Samson could lose?
Yeah. I think there definitely is. Yeah. I mean, especially if they're trying to something new. You know, I think there's a serious, like, I mean, has Samson ever beat Nathan Diasher before? I'm pretty sure Nathan's beat Samson. Yeah. They've done this.
Samson has beaten Nathan once.
Really? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was
in Romania, or when they did Prague.
Nathan placed 4th. It was weird.
Yeah, it was weird, that show. Yeah, I forgot. I think Samson won it, maybe even. It was Regan, Samson, Nathan, and there was also.
I think it was Samson.
Yeah, there was someone else.
Yeah. Was that Samson's first win?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't.
After that, that was after Regan's
win that show.
Oh, Regan was in that show.
Yeah, they were going back and forth. Raphael was in it. I think Raphael, Regan, and Samson beat Nathan.
Yeah, maybe.
But then Nathan won a few weeks earlier.
That's the other time Regan beat Nathan. Yeah.
Yeah, but Nathan's looking really damn good. This was insane. A week ago. This one, and it's like he's just getting harder.
Winning, but it's just like the way they've been rewarding Samson so far. Like if that beats Nick Walker, you know, at the Arnold, and I don't know, but Nathan is looking super impressive, and I think he's got the tools, especially if Samson comes way off and really soft.
I mean, they already fucked Nathan once this year.
Yeah,
he's. I think I prefer his look. He's so conditioned, like he's complete. Like he's very different looking physique, and I love his mouth too. Like he doesn't shut up for anybody. But I mean, you know, would they let a guy like him beat Samson when Samson's like, you know, on the rise, and clearly, you know, they like his look a lot, and they're trying to reward him right now.
Yeah. I think Nathan sent me an update recently, and it was, I don't think he's posted it. I don't think he's posted it anywhere. It was maybe a week ago, and it was the most impressive update I've seen from Nathan Diasher. I was like, wow. Like, I was actually almost like shocked at how sort of thick he looked, because he looked really thick and was hard too. It was just like, whoa.
He sent me yesterday and today. And today he said that he was flat as hell. I was like, okay, that's flat, man. I think you should keep going.
Yeah. He just keeps getting better, man. He's getting better the longer he preps. And I think because when he locks in on a prep, and especially with this prep, like the way I've talked to Nathan, he's been like, it sounds like he's like, that's why I'm going 100% in, because like, I reckon he's like, okay, how much longer have I got in my career? I'm going all out. Like, I'm really putting it all into this. I'm not doing a 6-week prep this time. I'm doing a longer prep, you know, and that's why he's continuing to get better while he's at this low body fat. So, I think he's going to be very, very impressive. He's one definitely to focus on in this contest. But we've also got, like I mentioned before, Alfred Chiriac doing this one. We'll quickly show Alfred, because he's a guy that brings crazy conditioning. I don't know if he'd have what it takes to maybe battle a Nathan, or, you know, I'm trying to think of all big names, because we've got a few names in this one. We've got Olympia competitors. We've got Presti. Who's the other name? Oh, I also want to discuss Mohammed Foda, who's Honey Rambod's
so
client.
good. He's so good, dude.
Yeah, he's worrying me about how good he is. I'm like, how far is he going to go in this one? But you can see Alfred Chiriak there, who I will say I think he could have placed higher this year in some of the shows he did by a place or two. But he's definitely made some solid improvements from last year, and I think he's going to keep improving as well. Do you guys see Alfred jumping up in this show or anything in this one?
I think he can be a first call out guy. It's just his front double and his he's super dense and his side shots are super good, but he's not wide, and that takes away from some of his poses. Hey, Stan, is he French or
no? He's Romanian.
He's Romanian.
Yeah.
Oh, Chiriak. I thought that would be the fuck.
Yeah, that sounds French.
Ignorant American.
No. That's a good guess. Like the French president was named Chirac a few years ago. So,
yeah, he's
all right.
Even without like the Patrick Tour filter, which I need to figure out what he does on that shit because y'all look real good on Patrick's pics. He still looks like he's got nasty conditioning. So, even
we don't do anything. Like the first time, it's just I think it's just the way he does things. Like he asked me one time, like it happened to Francisco, the 212 guy, Barrio. Patrick was like, don't send me pictures filtered. And I was like, no, it's from the camera. Like that's how we took it. So the video was the same. It's that look. It's just Patrick's diet or something he does.
Does he have you eat fish?
Yeah.
See, it's magic.
I believe in fish.
I absolutely do. It's a thing, man. It's a real thing.
For sure.
I want to look up Muhammad. Is it Foda?
He's amazing, this guy too. Yeah.
Foda. Yeah, he's crazy. Is this his pro debut? I believe it is. Isn't it?
No. He did one other pro show and he got like fourth or something. And it was like he wasn't really on. This was a couple years ago. He did an open pro show.
Was it like an Iranian show or something where everybody is crazy good?
It might have been Egypt. It was a long time. It was a few years ago. It might have been with
Regan and Samson.
Yeah, I think Regan and Samson were there. But yeah, I think he was a little off there. Not the usual Hani polish on him, but they've been working together for another few years now. And like, find a weakness on this guy. He's got shape. He's got muscularity. He looks in great condition. I mean, he's super young too. I think he's like 27.
Yeah, he's got all the potential. And this is 5 weeks out as well, so he looks on point to nail the condition. And obviously, working with Hani, I don't think Hani is going to want to bring anyone into a contest out of shape. So I think he's got huge potential, and he's got a nice shape too. He's got good level of muscularity. As long as he brings the conditioning, I think he's going to do pretty damn well. And as long as his presentation is good enough too, because in a show like this, a lot of placings can sort of come down to that overall presentation. This one was also 5 weeks ago. So the biceps are quite crazy.
Arms. Those are crazy. And they don't look like shot up or nothing too. Like they look just like that,
Yeah, very legit. Samson Dad also posted up a video today, and obviously he's going to be the favorite for this one, and he's going to be my prediction to win. Doesn't mean it's 100% going to happen, no, but I mean, third place in the Olympia, it's hard to predict against Samson Dowder in this one. We mentioned, if we think he can potentially be beaten here. I mean, he said to me that he's basically gone really low carbs and has been he didn't say water loading, but he's like basically been smashing water, which for someone like Samson, you think
giving away the secrets. Careful.
Yeah. I don't think there's too many secrets there. He's just like, I've been smashing water and low carbs. So this is 3 days out, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like once he peaks for this one and seeing if it's an improvement or not on the Olympia. Stan, if you had to guess, do you think he'll be better than the Olympia or worse?
Yeah, I think they're doing that Milos, oil deplete him again, and then we're gonna fill him back up, and they're gonna push like 3,000 grams of carbs over 2 years.
I really hope they don't do that. I think that will go really badly with him. But
Yeah, and if they do try something where they try to fill him up dramatically, could it go wrong and he places third? Imagine if that happened. It would be like crazy. But it's not like Samson would lose all momentum, but whoever beats him, like if Nathan beats Samson, imagine everyone would be like, Nathan has to get his visa. Like he has to get to the US this year.
I think no matter what, Samson's not going to get any lower than second place. And I'm not sure that they're going to let him slip even, you know?
Yeah.
I think that Samson wins it. I'm like reasonably sure. But if anyone's going to beat him, I'd say it's definitely most likely Nathan with an outside chance of Beirut. But yeah, I don't think Samson's going to beat him.
I could see Nathan, you know, like looking just crazy. Samson off. Nathan reaction earlier, the fans pissed, you know, being like, you know, let's go for Nathan. Maybe. Like I could see that happen.
Yeah. It's something I find interesting as well. I was thinking about it this morning and it sort of like got me like deep in thought about it. Like where would Nathan Diasha have placed at the Olympia? Because I sort of think about that and I'm like, I don't think Hunter was his very best. I don't think Hunter was bad, but I think that he looked better at the shows earlier in the year.
I think Andrew Hunter, man.
Yeah, Andrew and Brandon. I would have him with Andrew, Brandon, Antonio. That mix.
I think he could have beat Hunter, man. Your Hunter definitely looked better this year or earlier. I think maybe he just been prepping and pushing for a long time because it was like 10 weeks from Texas to the Olympia, and that's a weird time frame to try and hit 2 shows.
And the thing is, though, if he's battling in a call out with Brandon Curry, Andrew Jacked, and all those guys, Crusoe, all of them, if Nathan wins that call out, that means he's 4th place in the Olympia and Samson was 3rd. So I was like, I think there was a clear difference between the top 3 and everyone else, personally. But it's like still, if you're 1 spot away at the Olympia and you're coming into a show and Samson misses his peak and Nathan nails his all-time best, it's like you never know. Like it could happen, you know. But yeah, it'll be super interesting to see. So let's do some predictions. Sorry, what were you going to say, Stu?
Only if he gets here, sadly.
I know. It upsets me.
We'll smuggle him.
yeah, exactly.
Vegas ain't that far from the border, right?
Yeah.
A couple hours.
That's true. Easier than Orlando.
Go pick him up in Mexico. Yeah, so I told him, I was like, fly to Cuba and then take the boat.
Okay, so let's get to our predictions. I'm going to give mine first, even though I'm just literally doing it off the top of my head now. I'm going to put Samson Dowda in first. I'm going to put Nathan Diasha in second. In third, I'm going to say Baruz Tabani in third. 4th place. This is where it gets tough. I'm going to put Presti in 4th. I'm going to put Muhammad Foda in 5th. I'm going to put Alfred Chiriak in 5th and then Muhammad Foda in 6th. Stu.
Okay, top 6. Okay, I got to go Nathan first. Sorry, not Nathan. The Samson first. Nathan second. I think Muhammad Foda can be 3rd. I think he's super good, man. It's been so long since he competed. It's kind of hard to say, but he's got like all the tools to beat these guys. Who's left? And then Iranian guy, Beirut.
But that would be huge for Foda to beat Beirut.
Yeah. My camera just died. Sorry, I'm just gonna talk here.
You're good.
Who's left? Andrea. I think probably Andrea Presti next, and then Alfred. Did I miss any big names in there? I think that covers it.
Yeah, I think you nailed them. Who have you got, Stan?
Let's go. I just put Nathan first, just for the.
Nathan first. If you nail this,
I think it's gonna push him, and I think the fans are gonna get involved, and it's gonna be a little bit of talk after the show. Unless Samson just slammed the door, but we'll see.
Man, it would be for my sake and my channel. I want Nathan to win. It's like just literally for getting views. That's it.
You're about to run out of juicy gossip for the next few months here. So
I know. No, there's still more shows coming.
And then put Samson second, Beirut third, Um, uh, what's his name?
We got Presti, Foda, we got
Presti next. Then
Alfred and Foda.
yeah, I cannot flip flop them, but I don't know. For that looks impressive. The picture we just looked at him, I thought his arm was overpowering a lot. So I'm gonna put Alfred first before him.
Yeah, I think Alfred is more like known quantity. It's a bit safer. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for doing this once again. Stu, obviously you can't see him now, but we can hear you,
wave,
Stu.
but oh well.
But thank you guys so much for doing this. I think it's a really good episode. Now Olympia wrap up and Romania Pro preview. And guys, make sure you give a video a thumbs up, smash that like button, and follow these guys on social media as well. The links to their social medias will be in the description below. And that's it for myself, Xavier Wills, Stuart Sutherland, and Stanimal Stan Longeaux. We are out. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Bodybuilding University. If you did, there's a ton more episodes on desktop bodybuilding right now from the past. We've had guys like Nick Walker on. Obviously, weekly we have Brett Wilkin, Nathan Diasha, Martin Fitzwater, Stanimal, Stan Longeaux. Recently had Beef Stew, Stuart Sutherland on. And we have a whole ton more guests coming up for you guys as well. Sergio Oliva Jr., tons of names coming at you guys. Also, you get tons of bodybuilding news, all that good stuff. So make sure you like this video, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself here, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding, and you won't miss out on another episode of Bodybuilding University. So that's it for this one, guys. Xavier Wills and all the guys at Bodybuilding University. This is Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are out.